Hello everyone, my name is Samson Adeniyi and you're welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'll be taking us through the steps on how to build this amazing dashboard. Also, I'd like to point out that the data set used for this particular dashboard is not a real data. These are not actual crimes that took place. This is just for learning purpose. You can find a link to the data set in the description below. Without further ado, let's get straight into it. Alright, so let's start by importing the data required into the Power BI environment. I'm going to go to get data. It's an Excel file, so I'll click on Excel workbook. Then I'll navigate to where I have it saved on my PC. Okay, so the Excel file actually has three sheets that we need in it. I'm going to mark the three of them because they are the data required. So I'll click on transform to see if they require any cleaning. Now that brings me to the Power Query editor. Let me go through to see if there is any change I need to make. Now here I can see the crime ID, the data type is an integer, also the date, the crime date, it's saying they're integers, but this ought to be a date data type, so I will change it to a date data type. I'll click on the 123 here, then I click on date. Now you can see that they are all dates now. County, crime type ID, resolved. Let me see what I have in resolved. 1 and 0. So that means I'm guessing the 1 will be for the crime that are resolved and 0 for crimes that are not resolved. Also, the number of people involved in each crime and the time that the crime took place. It's showing me decimal, but it ought to be a time data type. So I'll convert it also to a time data type. Okay, so now let me check this crime also. This seems good enough. Okay, so let me just mention this, that the crimes are assumed to take place in Indiana in the US. So that's why we can see this these counties. They are counties in Indiana. Now let me just click on close and apply. I've made the changes that I want. I've adjusted the date to its appropriate data type, also the time to its appropriate data type. So now I will click on close and apply. Now, during the process of my analysis, I'm going to be creating so many measures. So I'd prefer to create a table for my measures. I'm going to go up here into my ribbon, click on enter data, and I'll replace this. I'll name this as measures. So I'm storing all the DAX that will be created, all my DAX functions that will be created, they'll be stored here. Then I'll click on load. Now, as you can see, it's showing up here. I have three tables. I need to model them. I have I have to. So I'll come to the model view. So here in the model view, Power BI has attempted to help me model them. Let me see if it has done the right modeling. So
Here it has modeled the crime type ID to the crime type. That's correct. And also here it has modeled the county ID to the county over here. So it has modeled them properly for me over here. So here the ID, crime type ID, also here county ID to county over here. That's properly modeled. I'll go back to my report view now and my analysis begins. So the first thing I would like to know is what is the total crime? Let me take a look at my table over here. Now, this is a table that records all the crimes. These are the crime ID. If I can count how many rows I have in this table, I'm counting how many crimes I have in this table also. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to count the rows in this table because each row is a crime, represents a crime. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'll come to my measures because I want every DAX I'm going to write, I want it saved here. So I'll select the measures, then I'll right click and I click on new measure. Now I'm going to give it total crimes. I'm going to use the function count rows. Now the count rows function is asking me for a table and the name of my table is data because that's where all the crimes are recorded. Data, close the bracket, hit enter. All right, now we have the total crimes here. Let me visualize that. Let me go back to my report view. Let me visualize that as a card. Click on card, then I click on total crimes. Now I'm having 5,011, and if you can recall, in the initial dashboard I showed us, it ought to be 5,000 crimes. So that means my cleaning was not done properly. So I need to go back to transform data. Probably there are some duplicate rows here. So there are some crimes that were recorded multiple times there. So let me go back to transform data and get rid of the duplicate rows because it ought to be 5,000. I'll come up here and click on transform data. This brings me to the Power Query editor. I need to get rid of the duplicate rows because I think that's why I'm having 5,011. I'll come to this corner over here, click on this, scroll down, then click on remove duplicates. Now it has recorded it, removed duplicates. Let me do the close and apply. As you can see, after removing the duplicates, now I have 5,000 total crime, which is correct now. So all I did was to do the count rows for the table and I got 5,000 total crimes. Now, the next thing to do is to find the percentage of the resolved crime and the unresolved crimes. I need to find the percentage of the resolved and unresolved crimes. Now, how do I go about that? First things first, I need to know how many crimes are resolved, then divide it by the total number of crimes before now converting it into a percentage. Same thing goes to the unresolved crimes too. I'll find the total of unresolved divided by total crime, then convert it to a percentage. Now, how do I find the resolved crimes? Let's go to the table view and I'll show you over there. Over here in our table view, this is the column that records the resolved crimes. And we have just two values there, 0 and 1. What's going on? Now we have just 0 and 1 there. 0 is for the unresolved crime, 1 is for the resolved crime. So if I can count how many rows in this table have 1 in the resolved column, I'll be counting the resolved crime like that, then dividing it by the total crime. Let's do it together. I'm creating a new measure now. Right click, new measure. The title of my new measure will be percentage resolved. Now, how do I get it? Remember, I said we need to get the total number of the resolved crimes, dividing it by the total number of crimes. So I'll be starting with the divide function. Divide. Now, the divide is asking me for numerator and denominator. My numerator will be the count of the crimes that were resolved. So how do I get my numerator now? I'll come to the next line by hitting Shift Enter. Now, to get my total resolved crime, I'm going to start with the calculate function. Oh, sorry. I'm going to start with the count rows function. Count rows. Then I'll come in with the filter function. Now, I want to filter the table before counting it. Now, the filter will ask me for the table and filter expression. The name of my table is data. Now, data, yes. My filter expression is going to be the resolved, the column for resolved where it is equal to 1. I hope we understood this because now what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to go into the data, the table called data, to count the rows. But before counting it, I want to filter a particular column first. I want to filter the resolved column where it is equal to 1. That means I only want to see the rows where the resolved column is equal to 1. Is that okay? Then I will now count those rows. That will now serve as my numerator. So after that, um, that's for my numerator. Shift enter again. Now my denominator will be the total crime, 5,000. Now everything is encapsulated into the divide function. This is my numerator in the divide function. Whatever value comes out of here will be divided by the total crime. Now I hit enter on my keyboard. Now we have the total resolved. So let's view it. Let me go back to my report view to view my total resolved crimes. I'll click on the card visual, then click on resolved. This will give me my value in decimal because of course I divided a smaller number by a larger number. It will give me decimal. I need to convert it to percentage. How do I do that? I'll click on resolved again, not the checkbox, but the actual word itself. And my ribbon changes over here. Now I can click on percentage. And once I hit percentage, the value inside of my card should change. As you can see, now the resolved crime is now 70.04%. I want it in a whole number. Currently it has two decimal places, but I want it as a whole number. So I'm going to remove this 2 and change it to 0. So I will erase the 2 and change it to 0. Then hit enter and it becomes a whole number. So we should be having 70%. Alright, now we have 70%. Now I need to get the percentage of the unresolved crime also. All I need to do is just copy this particular DAX function. I'm going to copy it, right click, Control C. Then I'm going to create a new measure also for the unresolved. I'm going to right click over here and click on new measure. Now I'm going to paste what I just copied here. I'll release this, Control V, paste. Then I'll change this to unresolved. So percentage of unresolved. Now my numerator would be where the resolved is equal to 0. So we're going to count the rows that have 0 in their resolved column, then divide it by the total crime. And whatever value we get from there, we convert it to a percentage. So I hit enter on my keyboard now. Over here, you can see that we have the percentage unresolved now. Let me visualize that as a card. So I click on card over here. Then I click on the unresolved, I check it. It also comes in form of a decimal, then I'll convert it to a percentage now. Click on the actual word itself, my ribbon changes, then I click on percentage. I also want it as a whole number, so I'll remove the two decimal place and replace it with 0. Okay, now we have 30% unresolved crimes and 70% resolved crimes. So let's go back to the dashboard that we're trying to recreate. We've gotten our total crime, the percentage resolved, and also the unresolved crimes. Now we want to get the crime by year, also the crime by the month and weekday. That's the next thing that we want to work on now. In order for us to be able to do that, let me take you to the actual data sets here. Now, in the crime date column, you can see that the date hierarchy is there, and under date hierarchy, we have year, quarter, month, and day. Is that okay? We have the year, quarter, month, and day. So now we want to create the crime by the year, the crime by the day, and also the crime by the month. Now, I want to see something. I want to check something out. Let me click on table. Um, Let me put day into the table. Let me put day. So the day is coming up as this 1 to 7. Okay, sorry. It's just listing out like um how many days you have in the month. But what we actually want is the day name, Monday, Tuesday, like Monday to Friday or Monday to Sunday. That's what we actually want. So in this case, you can't find it here under the date hierarchy. We're going to have to create a date table for that. Is that okay? We're going to have to create a date table for that. So let's get to that. Let's create a date table. So I'm going to go to my table view over here. I'll go to the table tools here, and over here you see new table. So I'll click on new table and use a DAX to create a new table. To create our date table, the name of date table is going to be called dates. Now, first of all, I'll try to like break this down as much as I can. So the date table, first of all, I'll use the function calendar auto. This is it over here. Just hit enter. Then you see what happens. The first column in my table is given to me by this calendar auto, and what this calendar auto does is it just gives me a bunch of dates, like complete dates, day, month, and the year, and also time. So it gives me a full date. So this is where I'll be extracting all the other columns from: the year, the month, the day. Everything will be coming out of this full date. So this is my first column here. So what I'm going to do is I'll go back to DAX function. Then at the beginning, because this calendar auto serves as my first column, and I want to add other columns. So I'll go back here. I'll wrap it into the add columns. So I'm adding columns into my table. Now the add columns, um, as you can see over here, it's asking for table. So this calendar auto is going to be this table here. Now, name one is the name of my next column that I want to bring in. So my next column is going to be called year, comma. It has to be in quotes. Now, expression one, that means what will populate that column, what will be inside of the column. The column title is year, but what will be in the column. I'm going to use the function year, this function year, Then to go into dates, you scroll up, you find dates in a square bracket. So I'm asking you to come into this column called dates here to bring out the year. So I'll close this brackets. Also, close the add colon bracket and hit enter. Now, as you can see, we have the years being extracted from here. Now they have their own colon. So I'm just going to write the rest of the DAX functions straight, and I'll be explaining as I go on. But let me break it for it to be neater. So I want, okay, so I'll put my cursor here, shift enter, breaks it into the next line, then hit tab. Okay, let me continue from there, comma, shift enter. Next thing I'm bringing in is the month month number. I'm going to use the month for that. Month should go into date to extract the date with the square brackets. Okay, now name 3, I'm going to call this one month. Now the month number will only give us the index of each month, like 1 to 12, because there are 12 months in a year. But if I want the actual name, January, February, March of each month, I'm going to use the the format function. Format, so format is asking me for value and format. So the value also is date. Oh, excuse me, the square bracket date, comma, and the format I want is mmm. This is it just gives me the first 3 letters of each month. Is that okay? But if I want it in full, like if I want the full spelling of each month, i'll write I'll type 4 M's, but I want just the first 3 letters of each month. So then from there, I close this bracket here, everything wrapped up into the format, um, comma, shift enter. Now for the day, so also the day number. So I'm going to use the weekday to go into date to bring out, as you can see, it returns 1 to 7. So Sunday will be 1, Saturday will be 7, like that. Okay, to go into the date to bring out the weekday, comma, shift enter. Now the actual day itself, I'll be using the function format to go into the date, comma, now also ddd. It doesn't really matter if it's in capital letter or small letter, it does not matter. Close the bracket and everything wrapped up into the add columns. Now I can hit enter and I will have a full date table. As you can see, we have a full date table now. The year, the month number, the month itself, the day number, and the day. So here we should be having Sunday to, okay, Friday. Yes, 7 days of the week. Also here we should be having 12 months, as you can see, 12 months. So here I'm going to, now we're having date and time here, but we just need the date here. So I'm going to click on this colon and convert it to just a date data type. Okay, now after doing that, I need to make Power BI recognize this table as a date table. Is that okay? So that's the next thing I'm going to do now, to make Power BI recognize this table as a date table. And how do I do that? Um, there are two ways. I can either go to the table tools over here and click on mark as date table, or I come to the actual date table here. I can click on these 3 dots, more options, and you see mark as date table. So whichever way you want to do it, it's fine. So I'm going to click on mark as date table, turn on this, choose a date column, only one column will be available there. After validating it, then I click on save. So after this whole process, Power BI sees this table now as a date table. Now I need to go and model it with the rest of my data because now I'm having four tables that have actual data in them. This table that I created from a measure is not an actual table, like it does not have rows and columns, but this one's here, the date table has rows and columns. So I need to model it with the other tables. So I'll go to the model view. Let me zoom this out a bit. Okay, so the date table. So I'm having crime date over here and I'm having date here. So let me model these two together. It doesn't matter where I'm dragging from. I can drag from crime date to date or date to crime date. Okay, so I'm having a one-to-many relationship. The date to to the actual data table. Then I click on save. I've been able to model them together. So let's go back to our report view and continue our analysis. Now I want to see the crime by year. Remove this. So I need a table, crime by year. Now if I need the year, I just need to come to the date table here. Then I select year. Now total crime is here. So this is the crime by year. So we can see that there are more crimes in the year 2022 and 2023 have been the least crime. Okay, so one more thing that we need to do here is to see the year over year change. Like we want to see the percentage change in each year. Is that okay? So now we have 1,671 crimes in 2021 and we have 2,378 crimes in year 2022. Now, what is the percentage increase between that 2021 and 2022 and also between 2022 and also 2023? So that's what we want to do now, to find the percentage change, the year over year change in crime between all of these years. I'm going to have to create a new measure for that. Right click, new measure. The title of my measure is going to be year over year change. Now I'm going to need to create some variables first because I need to get the crimes for the previous year. So I'm going to declare a variable. I'm going to call that um, previous year. Now, what will be the value saved into that variable? I'm going to use calculate to get out that value. Calculate. So the calculate will ask me for the expression and my filter. So the expression is going to be total crime and the filter is going to be same period last year. Um, yes, this. Now, all this will make sense in a moment. I'm going to try to do this one step at a time. I've created a variable for the crimes in the previous year now. So this variable is supposed to give us the crime for the previous year, regardless of the year where we are. Is that okay? So now I've created the variable. Now I'm going to use the return function to see the results. So after creating a variable, it ought to return the crimes in the previous year to us. I'll hit enter now. It has been created here for us, year over year change. Let me now add it to this table down here. I'll drag it, place it on the here. See what happens now. In the year 2022, the actual crimes that took place there is 2,378, and for the previous year it's 1,671, which is 2021. So this is what that variable gives us the previous year. So it shows us the crime for the previous year on in the year that we currently are in. So for 2023, this is the actual crime that took place, but previous year, this is it. Now we want to see the percentage change, either there's a percentage increase or decrease. So I will go back to um I'll go back to my my measure. So I'll continue. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create another variable here. Let me edit this. Creating another variable for the um year over year change percent. So how do I get this? It's going to be the crime in the current year divided, sorry, the crime in the current year minus the previous year, then divide it all by the previous year. So I'm going to use the divide function. So my numerator is going to be the total crime minus the previous year. That's my numerator. Whatever value comes out of there will be divided. Whatever value comes out of there, okay, this ought to be wrapped up. Whatever comes out of there will be divided by the previous year also. Now it ought to return, what I'm expecting it to return from me now is to return the year over year change. Okay, so let me hit enter now and see what it's going to bring out for me. As you can see, the values over here have changed. So, but I need to convert them to percentage. So I'll come over here. I'll click on the body. Then I'll go to my ribbon and change it to percentage. Now, as you can see, there is a 42% increase in crime from the previous year. So the previous year crime is 1,671, and in 2022 it now became 2,378. So that means there is a 42% increase in crime. And also when crime drops to 951 in 2023, we recorded a minus 60% decrease in crime. So this is what we mean by the year over year change. I want to convert this into a chart now. I want to convert it into a chart looking like this. I'm going to be using the stacked column chart, and also the year over year change will be displayed at the base of each column. That's what I'm about to do. Let me get rid of this. So stacked column charts. Then I'll have the year into the x-axis, then the total crime into the y-axis. So we're going to be having something like this. Okay, now I want to include the year over year change here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first of all have to create a blank measure. Okay, I've created it here already, but let me just show us the measure. So I'm going to create a blank measure here. I'll make it equal to 200. Is that okay? So I'm going to drag it into the x-axis here. Now, while we are having this, let me see if I can make it bigger. While we're having this, now we have the three columns for the 3 years that the crimes were recorded here. But we have these extra years here, 1900, 2000. Now, if you check your calendar, or your date table, I mean, if you check your date table over here, you see that it's starting from the year 1899. So what we're going to do is we're going to streamline our date table to just the years that we have in our data set, which is the year 2021, 2022, and 2023. So that's what we are going to do now to streamline the date table to only show us a date table for just 2021, 2022, and 2023. So I'm going to be making some changes to this code right here. So what I'm going to do first is to go up here, shift enter. I want to create um I want to be able to select the minimum date and the maximum date. So I'm going to create a variable. I'm going to call that um the main date, and that will equal, I'm going to be using the year function, then also the main function, the minimum of what the um of the crime date. So this is going to go into the crime date and pick out the minimum year. Is that okay? So that's what it's going to do. So that's for um the minimum date. I'm going to create another variable called the max date. I'm going to use the function year to go and get me the maximum year in the crime date. So that's what these two things that I've written here. This first one gets me the minimum year, and this one here gets me the maximum year. What do I want it to return now? So please just bear with me while I type this out, then I will explain everything I've typed. So I want it to return the add columns. Before doing that, I need to filter. I'll explain. Just bear with me. Okay, so what have I typed out here? I've created a variable to get the minimum date from the date crime and the maximum date from the date crime. The year, to be precise, that means the minimum year and the maximum year. So inside of the code that will actually generate my calendar for me or my dates table for me, now I'm setting this over here. I'm telling this that the year that we're going to be working with should be greater than or equal to the minimum year, but at the same time should be less than or equal to the maximum year. So our minimum year is 2021, our maximum year is 2023. So it cannot go below 2021 and it cannot go beyond 2023. So that's why this was placed here. So now all I need to do is to hit enter, and my entire date table will adjust according to the code I've just typed into it now. As you can see, it has adjusted itself. Let me show you the filter that we have here. In the year, we should be having just 3 years. We should be having 2021, 2022, and what 2023. So let me go back to my report view, and as you can see, that chart has adjusted also. It's only showing me for 2021, 2022, and what 2023. And now the reason why we're having this stacked column is because we placed two fields into the y-axis: the total crime, which is this light blue um, column, and the blank measure is the deep blue. So all I just need to do is to adjust it, moving this one to the top. So now this small area is for the blank measures, and this bigger area is for the total crimes. This is where I'm going to be placing the year over year change. That's why I created the blank measure there. What I'm going to do now is to format my visual. So just follow along, format my visual. I'm going to go to the columns down here, columns, and I'm going to be dealing with the blank measure. So I'm going to change the series to blank measure. Okay. Now the values that I want in the blank measure, I'll scroll down, turn on data label. As you can see, as soon as I turned it on, the 200 appeared here. Now we are going to replace that 200 with our year over year change. So I'm going to go into the data label, um, the blank measure to be precise. Still scroll down. Now the value in it. Over here, this field here, I'm going to change it from blank measure because our blank measure is 200. So I'm going to replace it with the year over year change. So I clicked here and it brought out this. Then I'll click on year over year change. Once I do that, as you can see, now we're having 42% here and minus 60% here, which is what we want. So we wanted the year over year change to appear here. So that's what we just achieved. Now I'm going to need to, okay, yes, this is good for now. This is okay for now. We need to make a few adjustments along the way. So the next thing for me to do now is to add the indicators. I mean, the arrows pointing up or down. So um, for instance, over here we have minus 60%, so it's a decrease. So we need an arrow pointing down, and here is plus 42%, so we need an arrow pointing up. That's what I want to include to this chart now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the year over year change. I'm going to edit the DAX function also. I'm going to be making some changes to this code right here. So I want it to return. I'll bring in a switch function. Okay. The switch function works very similar to the if function also. Okay. So the first value. So if the year over year change in percent is equal to 0, what do we want in return? I just want it to show me an hyphen, like a dash. So that means there's no change, just a dash. Okay. Now for the next one, if the year over year percentage is greater than 0, what I want it to show me is um I want it to show me an arrow pointing up and also the value of the year over year percentage change. So what I'm going to do is to get the arrow pointing up, there are certain emojis here that you can use in Power BI. And how do you get it out? You press the Windows key on your keyboard and the full stop. So Windows full stop, and this pops up. So I've already used the triangle. This is the arrow pointing up, which is the red triangle pointed up. So I'm going to select it. Why is it not showing up? Okay, I clicked it 3 times. So I need it just once, and it has to be in quotes. Okay, the red arrow pointing up, and whatever value I get from my year over year percentage change, then comma. We're still going to make some more adjustment to this, but I want to do it step by step. So now if it is less than 0, that means we want an arrow pointing downwards. So I'm going to open a double quote, Windows full stop. Okay, the triangle pointing downwards. I can just type TRI and it brings me all sorts of triangles. So this is what I need. Close the quotes, and whatever value I have from my year over year change percent. Now I can hit, no, I need to close the brackets for the switch. Now I can hit enter on my keyboard. See what happens. The arrows are there already, but it has converted my percentage back into decimal. Why? Because it's seeing this arrow pointing up and down as text, and I'm adding it to integers or percentage, like actual numbers. So it will convert both of them into text. So what will I do to get back the percentage sign? I'm going to put this into a format function. So I'm going to come here, I'm going to wrap it into the format. So this is the value, and how do I want it? In what format? I want it in this format, 0%. Just follow it, and I'm sure you get it from here. Also, I'm going to wrap this one. Okay, let me just copy this whole thing. Okay, now, okay, close the switch. As you can see, the adjustment has been made already. As you can see, it has been made. Now it's looking similar to what we want at the end of the day. Is that okay? So we have this already. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do for the month over month change also. So the steps that I took to do the year over year change is what I'm also going to do to get the month over month change. So let's get straight into that also. Okay, now for the month over month change, let me create a table. I need the month in the table, and I also need the total crime. Okay, so this is what we have initially. Now, let me do exactly what I did for the year over year change. I'm going to create a measure for the month over month change. I'm going to come here, right click, new measure. Okay, so I'm going to be naming this the month over month change, and also I need to create a variable for previous month, just like we did for the year. Now what will populate um that variable? I'm going to use the calculate function like we did. My expression will be total crime. Now my filter is going to be there's no same period last month here. I don't think there is. Is there? No, it's same period last year. So how do I get for um for the month? I'm going to use date add it's a function. So it's going to ask me for the date. So I will tell it to pick the date from my date table. So go to my date table and pick the date. Month interval, I want it as -1 because we're talking about the previous month. Now the interval is going to be a monthly interval. So I'll close my brackets. What do I want it to return? Let's do step by step. Return. What's going on? Okay, I think I need to close this bracket here. Now return what exactly? Previous month. So I will hit enter and I will add it to my table over here. So we'll see if this variable is actually working. Okay, as you can see, the month over month change is here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add it to the table, or let me just drag it into the table directly. Now, so can you see for okay, I need to sort this month so that we can see them properly. I need to sort them from January to December. So how do I do that? I go to my date table here, click on the month, then I go to the ribbon here. I'm going to sort by colon. I'm going to sort it by the month number. So it will sort it January 1, February 2. It will sort them according to their numbers. So let me close this. As you can see, they've all been sorted January, February, March down. See, from here, I'm having what February is what 364, but the previous month is 420, which is January. Same thing will happen to every other one. December also 394. The previous month we're having what 422, which is this 422. So that works. We've been able to get the previous month. Now let's keep on editing our code to get the month over month percentage change. So I'm going to go back to the month over month change measure. So I'm going to create another variable. I'm going to call this the month over month change percent. So it's going to be divide. My numerator is going to be the total crime subtracted from the previous month, everything wrapped up, then they are all being divided by the previous month again. And in this case, we'll be returning the month over month percentage change. So I hit enter now. It's all showing 000. Okay, let me convert it to percentage. All I need to do is to go up here and hit the percentage sign. As you can see, they've all been converted to percentage now. So this is the month over month change percentage. As you can see, so between January and February, there's a decrease in crime, a 13% decrease in crime. So that works too. Now we need to add the indicators, the arrow pointing up and down. Everything I did to the year over year change, I'm doing it now to the month over month change. So I'm going to have the switch function. I want it to return switch true. Now, if the month over month if it is equal to 0, we just want an hyphen. comma. If the month over month percentage change is greater than 0, we want um, the arrow pointing up. So Windows full stop. Okay, the indicator is there already. Close it. And okay, we need to place this into format like we did for the year over year. Okay, same thing. Let me just copy this. But this one will be arrow pointing down. Now I hit enter on my keyboard and let's see what happens. Okay, as you can see, I think we ran into some issues here. Let me see. Okay, let me make some adjustments to this. Okay, if it is greater than 0.01, okay, sorry, it should have been less than, yes. Now as you can see, we have the arrows pointing up and down. We have our indicators, so it's all working perfectly. For the positive ones, the arrows are pointing up. For the negative ones, the arrows are pointing down. So now let me also create the chart for that. This chart that we used over here is what I want to do now. Okay, so I'm going to be getting rid of this for now, or do I need to do that? Let me just remove this. Then I hit the line chart. I want to convert it into a line chart. Okay, let me make it bigger. So I want the indicators also to appear beneath it. So I'm going to have to create a blank measure, but now for the month. Come here, right click, new measure. So I'll be calling this blank measure but now for the month. It's going to equal 200. It's showing up here now. This is it over here, the blank measure month. So I'm going to drag it beneath the total crime. So that's why we have this straight line here. Let me go to format my visual, just like we did for the year over year. So let me go down to line. I'm going to convert this into the blank measure for month. My data label, turn it on. No, I'm going to turn it on for just, okay, turn on. But I want it on for only the blank measure. Scroll down further. Now for the value, I'm going to replace the value with the month over month change. As you can see, we have it here now. We have it here now. So I can also, what I will do now is to go back up to the color. I'll change to white so that it can blend. So this line is still there, but now it's white. So The year over year change for each month is visible now on this chart. I'm just going to change how this chart looks. The total crime charts, the interpolation. I'm going to use step. Okay. Yes. So I think it's looking very similar to what we have over here also. All I need to do now is to turn off the data label for that. Sorry. I want to turn it off for just the total crime. Yes. Okay, so we're good to go. Back to reports. As you can see, we've been able to create these two, the crime by year and the crime monthly trend. So we've been able to do that. The next thing I want to do now is the crime by time. I want to group the hours into 3 hours. Each time should be 3 hours. So I want to see the time. I want to group them into 3 hours each. So for example, 12 a.m. to 2:59 a.m. That's 3 hours. 9 p.m. to 11:59 p.m. That's 3 hours. So that's what I want to do now. I want to group the time, the crime time, into a 3 hour group. Each and every one of them will be grouped 3 hours. So that's what I'm about to do now. I'll go to my table view, data. So this is the time here. I'm going to create a new column using a DAX function. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on new column. I'm going to be using the switch function to create the time group. So the title of my new column is going to be called the time group, and I'm going to be using the switch function. Let me just type the first arguments there, then I will explain. So this is the switch function. Now the first thing there is going to be, now I need the hour function to go into the time, this column here called time. It should go into this time here. Now if the hour in my time is greater than, okay, sorry, if it is um if the hour in my time is greater than or equal to 0. Now what does this mean? um Power BI is going to be looking at the time in a 24-hour format. So that means 12 is going to be 00, like 12 a.m. is going to be 0 o'clock, then 1 a.m., 2 a.m. Then by 1 p.m., that will be 13 o'clock. So it's going to be using the 24-hour format. So now, if the hour is greater than or equal to 0, and at the same time, the hour of the time is less than or equal to 3, less than or equal to 3. Now that is between 12 midnight and 3 a.m. So if the hour is greater than or equal to 0 and at the same time less than or equal to 3, I'm going to be, my result should be, the name of that group should be 12 a.m. to 2:59 a.m. This might not um, look like something that you understand for now, but as soon as I'm done with everything, we'll get to understand it. So let me just get straight into typing. And when I'm done, you'll see the result and I will explain better. Okay, I'm done typing the entire switch function. So let me explain. Now the hour function goes into the time colon and sees if the hour there is greater than or equal to 0 and at the same time less than or equal to 3. So like I mentioned, it's using the 24-hour format. So it's going to group those hours into um, 12 a.m. to 2:59 a.m. It's going to check again if the hour is greater than or equal to 3, then and at the same time less than or equal to 6, then group those ones into 3 a.m. to 5:59 a.m. So it's going to do that till it gets to 11:59 p.m. So as soon as it becomes 0 again, it will jump back to 12 a.m. So now I'm going to hit enter on my keyboard. As you can see, the grouping is done now. The first grouping, the time that the crime took place is 8:40 p.m. So the time group, the the crime occurred within this 3-hour window between 6 p.m. and 9 p.m., which 8:40 falls in between. So it's going to do that to all the time there. So now to visualize the crime by time, I'm going to bring out a table, time group, then the total crime. Okay, so I'm going to convert it into the stacked bar charts. So as you can see, it's similar to what we have over here. 12 a.m. to 2:59 has the highest total crime, and the least total crime is between 9 a.m. to 11:59 a.m. Let me see if it's the same thing that I have over here. It's the same with what I have over here too. Now, having done that, I think it's time for us to do this over here, the crime by month and weekday. Actually, this is a combination of two charts. So this is a chart here, and this is another chart here. So this is the crime by month, and this is the crime by weekday. So that's what we are going to attempt to do now. Okay, let's quickly go back to that. Let me move this one over here. Now, let me do the crime by weekday first, by the month and the weekday. So I'm going to bring in a matrix. Yes, let me make it bigger. Now I'll go to the date table, the weekday, the weekday. Yes, the day. I'll put it on the rows. Then I'll put the month in the columns. Now for the values, I'm going to be putting the total crime into the values. All right, now we have this. Back to report. Now I'm going to be doing the crime by month. After that, I will have all the charts needed for my dashboard. So the crime by month, put it here, and also the total crime here. And I'm going to be using the cluster column chart for that. Okay, now I guess I have all I need to start creating my dashboard. So like I mentioned at the beginning, this is what we're trying to replicate over here. So all right, so we need our title first. I'm going to be using a text box for the title. Let me move this down here. Text box for the title. Indiana Crimes Analysis Report. So like I mentioned earlier also at the beginning of this video that it's not a real data. This is just for learning purpose. So okay, let me make this a little bit bigger. I hope 28 is not too much, and I like to use the Comic Sans font. I don't know, I just like that font. Okay, you can use any font of your choice. Make it bold. Okay, so that's for the title. Now to give it a color, I'll go over here to effects, color. Um, Let me use this color over here as okay. Okay, let me just. I'll probably not use the same colors as I used for the real dashboard, but it will look similar. So let me just, because I cannot remember all the color codes I used for that one over there. So yeah, let me just do what my instincts tells me to do. Okay, this is gonna be white, but I'm going to mark. I'm going to highlight this crime here. I'm going to change the color. I'm going to give it this color. Okay, and also there is a logo. There is an icon. I mean, so let me push this so that the icon has a place to stay. I'll import the icon very soon also. Okay, that's for the title. Now let me arrange all of this. Where did I keep my total crime? The card for total crime. Okay, let me move it up here. Total crime. Let me format it. The color value. The font I'm using. I'm still going to use the Comic Sans. I'm just probably going to have to reduce the size a little bit. Probably 40. Okay, then the rounded corners. I'm going to go to effects now. Turn on the visual borders first, then down here rounded corners. Let me use 10. Okay. I don't need to turn on the shadow for that. Okay, I think yeah, this is better. Okay, so format painter, format painter, dump it on this so that it will take the same format to format painter, dump it here. Let me make sure that these two are of the same size. I guess so. Yep. So let's make sure that they're perfectly aligned. Okay. I think this looks good enough. Okay. Um. Okay. Let me bring this closer to them. I'm going to the shapes. Insert. I mean shapes. I brought in this shape. It's going to serve as their background actually, but first let me have it like this. Then I'll change the color. Okay, the style. I think let me just give it this color. No, that's too deep. Probably this color. Then I'll go to format and I'll send it to the back. So it goes straight to their back. If I click out of it now, it appears behind them. So all I just need to do is to position them properly in it. Mm, okay, I think the rounded corners I need to for the background. Okay, okay, I think that's better. Now for the um year, all right. So let me just make a few changes to this over here. The color, um, format visual. Let me work on the background first. Or no, let me work on the columns first. Yeah, let me work on the columns. So let me work on the total crime. The color for the total crime. I'm going to use this color over here. Oh, okay. Now for the blank measure there, to make it white. Or no, I'll just remove the background. Can I just remove the the color? Unfortunately, I can't. Okay, let me give the whole thing a background color. General effects, the background color. Um, I'm going to be giving it the same background color as I gave. That's too deep. Okay, you can find better colors. I don't think I'm quite good at mixing colors. I think I have an issue with that, but I'm trying. My values here, this blank measures here, the values should be black, I think. Hmm. Okay, let me go back to visual. Okay, let me still leave this as the blue that it had before. The blue. Okay. I think this still looks better also. Okay. So now for the title, I go to general. Let me give it a title. So I'm going to change the title to the crime by year. Crime by year. I need to. Oh, this is supposed to be crime. I'll place it at the center. Okay. I'm going to give it a color, or just probably just make it bold, and also increase it a little bit. Yeah. We don't need the legend here, so I'll go back to visual. The legend. Where is that located? Legend. Turn it off, so they all vanish. Also, the y-axis, x-axis. I don't need any indicator. Anything. The values, the title. Also for the y-axis, I'm going to turn it off. Values, title. Yeah, the crime by year. I think this looks okay. Rounded corners, effects, visual border. Turn it on. Let's make it rounded. Let's say I'm going to make this about, yes, 10. So I think, yeah, the crime by year, that looks okay. Let me move these ones up here. Okay, then the crime by month. Let me try format painter if I will have a little bit of change here. Okay, this is good. Oh, it destroyed a lot of things, but we can quickly make adjustments to it. I was trying to play a fast one there, but anyway, still nice. Let me just make a few adjustments. So I'm going to first of all have to remove this line down here. Okay, line, blank measure. So the color of the line, I'm just going to make it 100% transparent. So it's almost like it's not there. It's just transparent. So then I'll go to the data label, turn it on. The data label for the series. We've done this before. It was because of the format painter I did that just destroyed the whole thing, but we could do it back. Okay. This is the month of a month change. So instead of 200, yes, we're having this. Nice. We don't need the data label for um data label for the total crime here. Turn off. Okay. Now for the title, we just do the crime monthly trend title. Crime monthly trend. Okay. Hmm. Oh, the um the label. Hmm. There's some mistakes I made here that I need to fix. Back to the visual. On the x-axis now, I need to turn on Yes, so that I can see what year we are talking about. So I need to make this black, so that also make it bold. Yep. So let me just do a format painter and dump it on this one also. Okay, so I'm guessing that's fine. Now, crime monthly group. Let me see if I can do a format painter on this too to make my work faster. What have I done? Okay, so I'm going to place this over here. Now let me adjust this ones over here. So let me. These two are supposed to be stacked on top of one another. Okay, I think this is becoming a little bit too large. So let me just adjust it a little bit. I'll probably move this one to the edge, or not fully to the edge, probably something like this. Move this one closer, adjust it to a little bit because we're taking too much space. Okay, so all I need to do is just expand this over here to show January to December. The totals, we don't need the totals. Come to format visual, turn off the subtotal and also the row subtotal. Okay, and this one's here, I need to sort them. I need to sort the day by day number. So I'll go to day here, click it, my ribbon changes, sort by colon, sorting it by the day number. So everything that has to do with day will be sorted according to their number. So Sunday should be first, Saturday should be last. So that's what we are going to see now. What is going on? Okay, it's okay. They've all been sorted now. So yeah, all I just need to do is to adjust it properly. Let me make the values bigger so that they can fit into where they're supposed to fit into. Values, make it a little bit bigger. Okay, I think this is, yes, this is good enough. Or let me see if I can make it a little bit bigger. Right. Yeah, this is fine. Um, Now this should go on top. This should go on top. right. Okay, let me just make a few adjustments to this. I might go quiet for a while, but just watch the screen. Okay, now I'll come to general here. Now the colors on this bar should be the color on this one also. So let me change the colors on the bar. Columns. I think this is the color I used for this ones over here. Yes, it is. So I can do a format painter. I can't do that. Let me just do it for this. I've copied it already. Let me also do for this. Bars in this case. Okay. Hmm. If you notice over here, the groups aren't showing completely. This is the y-axis. So let me just make some adjustments to the y-axis. So the maximum width, let me increase the width. Okay, the more I increase it, yes, I think everything is showing now. So this is how it should be. Okay, I need to make a few adjustments to this particular chart here. I need to also remove the y-axis, the values in the y-axis here. No value, no title. Yes, so I can easily place it here. So January to January, February, March, April, May. Now I'm just going to align it properly to sit on this month here. Yes. Okay. Now let me bring in a chart. Sorry, a shape also. I'm bringing a shape to cover them. So I will send the shape to the back so it will serve as their background. Rounded corners. Okay, now send to back format. Send to the back. Let me click out and let's see how it will appear. Okay, so I need to make a few adjustments. Okay, first let me make their backgrounds transparent. Let me do it for the matrix first. General effects. Turn off the background. So it has no background. This one also, I'll turn off the background. So it has no background. Yes, that's exactly what I want. Now the shape itself should have this color, style. I think this was the color that we used. Yes. So I think it's looking better now. So let me just make a few adjustments to this to make it into a heat map. Over here, let me make it into a heat map. I'll click on this. I'll go to format visual. Now from format visual, I'll go to general. No, still on the visual, sorry. Come down here. The cell elements. Yes, I'm going to turn on the background color. Okay, so it gives them this color, but I don't want that. I'm going to give them my own color. So let me click on this conditional formatting here. So it pops up a screen, a window now. Yes, this. Okay, so I want the lowest value to be probably um let me go something quite light. This, then the maximum color should be something closer to this. Let's see how it will look. Okay. I think I like this. Yes, I think I like this. Okay, so now let me make a few adjustments to make it look proper. Um, the colon headers, the background color should be the same color um as the shape that they are on. Okay, I'll do the same thing also to the row headers. Change the color, the background color to this. What's going on? It's not changing. Okay, I had to turn off this. So make it bold, increase the font size just a little bit. Okay, that's good. Let me go back to the colon headers and do the same thing I did over here, which is to make it bold and increase it just a little bit. I think this looks nice now. Let me move them closer so they can sit perfectly on one another. Uh, this is December. Yes, this is okay now. All right, so I think, okay, back to the shape. Let me stretch it out a little bit. Style. I'm just doing this on the fly, so that's why I'm kind of talking a lot. Yeah, I think this works now. Let me click out. Yeah, I think we are having something similar to our initial dashboard, the one I showed you. It might be a little bit different. This one is a little bit deeper and darker in a way. There's too much space over here. Too much space. Okay, let me just group them. Let me adjust all of this. What's going on? What did I press? Oh Jesus. Okay, I think it's all coming back now. I just wanted to stretch this to the top. Yep. Okay, now to change the title here, it has to be the crimes by monthly, by month and weekday, I mean, sorry. The crime by month and weekday. So click on this, general title. So it's going to be crimes by month slash weekday. Yep. Make it a little bit bold, a little bit bigger. Yes, I think that's good. So let me just stretch this out a little, stretch out a little. Okay, so I think, yes, we have exactly what we have in our previous dashboard. Okay, now let me just add slices to this slicer. So we want to use two two columns as our slicer here. We're going to be using the county and also the crime. So the type of crime and also the county. That's what we're going to be using as our slicer. So over here now there is no space to fix in my slicer. So I'm going to like um create the slicer then hide them. So until when you need them to come out, that's when you'll be able to see the slicer. So that's what I want to do now. So what I'm going to do is first things first, let me bring in a shape. The shape is insert shape. Let me just bring in, yes, this type of, or let me, yes, I think this is better. I'll place it here. Let me just make it a little bit lighter than the rest of them. Yep. Or should I? Yes. So this is where my slicers are going to be. So that shape is there. My first slicer, click on the slicer here. I'll be bringing in the county. We'll find that in our data. The county. Nope. I think there is. Yes. Okay. There's county here. The county name. Okay. So let me format visual. I want to see this as a drop down. Okay. So I'll put it into the shape here. So that's what I'm going to do. Put it into the shape here. Okay. Now another slicer, crime. Click it, pops in. I'm also going to change it to a drop down. I'll place it also into the shape that I brought in. Okay. Now I'll click on let me increase the slicer header a little bit also. Just a little bit, make it bold. Now the slicer is here but it's covering our chart. So I need to hide it and call it only when needed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to import an image now. Image. Let me navigate to where the image is. This is the image, the filter image. I'll be placing it over here. It's blending with the header, so I need to probably make my the color of my header a little bit lighter so that it can stand out, or make it a little bit deeper so that it can stand out. Let me use something like this. Okay, yes, now it's standing out. Perfect. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, the shape and the two slicers in it, I need to group them as one. So I click on the first slicer, hold down Control on my keyboard, click on the second slicer, then click on the shape itself. So I've selected the three of them now. I can right click and group them. So they will all move as one. Now I'm done grouping them. What I'm going to do next now is to bookmark. Now I will show you what bookmark does. So what I'm going to do is I'll go to this view over here. Then you see bookmarks. So I'm going to create bookmarks here. So now I will add this current screen that we are seeing now, how my dashboard looks like. Everything I have on my canvas, I'll bookmark it. So if I click on add bookmark, I can edit the title, double click and edit the title. So I'll call this um, filter open because it's currently showing a filter being opened. So I've edited that. I'll go to selection. Now the grouping I did, this group 2, if I hide it, this vanishes off my dashboard. So I'll click on, then I'll add a new bookmark. Add a new bookmark, edit it, call it filter um close. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is to I'll click on this image that I imported over here. I'll format the image. Now, what action do I like? Do I want an action from the image? Yes, I do. And what sort of action do I want? When I click on the image, um, the type, I want it to go to a bookmark. Now, what bookmark do I want it to pick out for me? I want it to pick out the open filter bookmark. Is that okay? So that's what's going to happen when I click it. So now watch this. If I want to click it here, I can't just click it. See, it says Control plus click to follow link. So I will hold Control down on my keyboard and I click this. Once I do that, the filter opens up. But how do I close the filter now? I need to create another button to close the filter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to insert. Let me input a button. I'm going to input a blank button. So the button appeared over here. So I'll drag it into um, the the shape, make it a little bit smaller. Try to place it somewhere here. So that's the shape. Now I want to write X in the shape. So I go to shape, is it shape or style? Okay, let me go to style, turn on text, and in the text I'll write a capital X. As you can see, the X appeared here. All I need to do is to make it bigger, bolder, and change the color. I want the color black, and I want it to be this large, bold also. It's not as okay now. It's bold enough. So now what I'm going to do is I'll go back to selection because now all of these have been grouped already. The two filters, the shape, they've all been grouped already. So I need to go back to selection, and the button I'm on currently is this empty button. So I need to just drag it. So I need to open the um, group 2. I will drag it into the group. So it becomes a part of the group. So when the group disappears also, it will also disappear. Watch this. If the group disappears, it disappears also. So what I'm going to do is to bring it back, and I'll set this button to the filter close. So the filter close is in okay, I'm on this button. I need to format the button. Okay, this is still a button here. Let me close all of this. Yes, the button has an action, and the action is leads to a bookmark, and the bookmark is the filter close. So now let's test everything we've just done if it works perfectly. So this is the button. Control click, the filter closes. Control click, the filter opens. So yes, that's how to hide your filter and review your filter. Is that okay? Yes, let me hide the filter now. It's hidden. Let's see if the filter works. If I click on, let me click on crime, let's say bike thefts. Yes, the filter works. But as soon as I close this over here, I think yes, the filter stops being applied. So I need to also do it in such a way that even though the filter is hidden, as long as I've activated it, as long as I've used it, it should remain used until I uncheck it. So what I need to do in that case is I'll go back to my bookmark. Now for the filter open, I'll click on this more option here. I will uncheck data, and also over here for the filter close, I will uncheck data. Let me see if they're both truly unchecked. Yes. Now watch what will happen next. Click. So if I click on crime, if I click on any of this, the filter works. Everything adjusts according to the filter. Now if I close the filter, everything still remains according to what the filter, according to the filter that has been applied. Do you understand? So all I need to do now is to clear my filter, then hide it back. Yes. So I think we've been able to create um, a similar dashboard to the one that we had, the one I showed us from the beginning. But you can always make some touch of yours to this. You can give this your own touch. You can use a different type of color. You can align it properly. I don't think this my 5,000 here is properly aligned. Yes. So you can do all sort of things, all sort of adjustment to this. Is that okay? So okay, let me just import the logo I said would be here. It's an image. Okay, this is the image over here. So the image was gotten from flaticons.com. Flaticons.com. You can get icons, emojis without backgrounds, like they come without backgrounds. So yes, flaticons.com. That's where I got it from. Okay. Yes, you can always make your dashboard look better than mine. In fact, I would want you to do something like that. Also, make it better looking. Think this should. Okay, I think yes, this is good enough. Okay, yes. Thank you for watching.